And today's topic, it's really important one for all of us right now. This is on comfort with the unknown. How do we really get comfortable with this general unknown in the world right now? And how do we bring this unknown into conversations? And also, how do we coach ourselves and people to step into the unknown, through the unknown, into some kind of creation going forward? I keep on, being asked from a lot of people to coach them in this space of uncertainty, ambiguity, not knowing. When people are a little bit tense and nervous because they used to know, but now we are in this space of unknown a lot of the time, most of the time. So we need to learn how to be comfortable with all of that, right? So let's dive into the unknown.
Okay.
I mean, we've been in this unknown for quite some time right now, right?
Well, it's funny, as you said, dive into the unknown. It's really just diving into the present, because nothing is ever known. I mean, I don't even know what's going to happen up in my front yard in the next hour, but I always pretend like I think I do. So when you said people are calling you, it's like they're facing the fact that the unknown exists, even though there's never any way for us to know what's going to happen next. But we need to feel we're in control.
Yeah.
We need to feel we know, or how will we succeed? And the brain says, you must know. And if we don't, it creates a fear, even though it's the normal state.
So you say that our brain, when it doesn't know and it loses this sense of control of knowing, creates a little bit of fear, and then we get nervous and tense, and we kind of,
Right. I was coaching a woman last night, and we were talking about she's new to her position, but they promoted her twice, and it's a very diverse group. And she said to me, she's got a challenge coming up. She said, well, last time you coached me through this thing, it's like I was so afraid because I didn't know. And then I did it, I succeeded, and now I'm comfortable. I said, but that's the thing, is that if we have not experienced something before, then we're afraid we won't be able to handle it. And the brain's primary function is to keep you safe. So, in this space of not knowing what's going to happen, there's fear. It's like that primal fear. I don't know what's going to happen. When, why wouldn't you assume, if you look at your life, that you would be able to handle this situation? Have you had similar successes in the past? So the assumption that we will fail, we won't be able to handle it, it's, the life is upside down, just comes with the uncertainty of I don't know what's going to happen, which again is a natural state, but we don't acknowledge it.
I think that we're all waking up into this natural state. And
yes. What a great learning.
What a great learning. I think we got used to, plan, organize, structure, vision our life, put everything into the place, have a certain times when we go to holidays, have certain times when we visit our friends, our family, the cycles of life with the Halloween, with Christmas, with Thanksgiving, and all other, international holidays. It's somehow, it was anchoring us in us knowing exactly what is going to be happening next. And right now, in the last 2 years specifically, a lot of that got disrupted, right? And all of that got out of the window. So suddenly we were
the regular, the routine.
The routine, right?
The routine that makes us feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But I want to say something, Zoran, for years, because you and I taught leadership together, and we were always saying, you must embrace ambiguity. But nobody it was so abstract. It's like, yeah, okay, well, I'll embrace ambiguity, but they didn't know what they were talking about.
Yes.
Now they do. It's like, oh, that's what ambiguity means. And I guess I better embrace it, because from this point going forward, do we know? Do we know? We don't know. To think that we would ever get back to normal, there's no normal. Not anymore.
So, yeah, I agree. And that being comfortable with that not knowing is something that we can kind of explore and unpack and look into what is necessary for all of us, including you and me, to really relax into that space of knowing that unknown. It's something that it's our current version of our life, which is being fully present in the moment, right?
Yeah, and we think it's not in our control, but just if you think about, I have a choice. I can either be afraid of the unknown or I could be excited about the unknown. Can I look at, wow, I don't know what's going to happen. That's amazing. Something new could come up. Can I shift? And oftentimes it's just a matter of, it's shifting our emotional state. It's breathing through it, and not assuming the worst will happen. Because that's what happens. When we get afraid, our brain just goes into what's the worst that can happen. You've seen that with your clients, I'm sure, that they either vacillate between the best thing's going to happen or the worst thing's going to happen, and never like, well, who knows? Anything's possible. It could be in the middle. How I approach it, I have different options. So to navigate through it, knowing we have options instead of I will succeed or I will fail.
And that choice, I love what you're sharing, the choice of how do we relate to unknown? Is that a beautiful and amazing adventure that it's yet to be unfolded into our lives, so that we're like, wow, this stepping into unknown can really so exciting. What will happen next? Instead of us being, I feel really nervous because I don't know. This sense of control that we have. What is your take on this? Where does this come from? You mentioned that our brain is trying to protect us, of course, right? And our brain is trying to control the circumstances around us and make sure that we're safe, and so on and so forth. What else gets people to be in this space of needing to control their life or needing to control unknown?
Yeah. Well, there's one of the most well-known stress researchers is a professor out of Stanford, runs the whole neuroscience department, Robert Sapolsky. He always said the two greatest stressors are when we feel like we're out of control in the present and there's no predictability about tomorrow. Okay, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I feel helpless right now. Two biggest stressors that we've been now facing for 2 years.
Right.
And that's because, again, the brain has to have a sense of, I know what will happen, so I know how to handle this. So I won't get eaten by a bear. Right. And it's old fear. There's no evidence that something terrible will happen, and so we have to look at, oh, look, I'm afraid. That's fascinating. What's the worst that can happen in this moment, really? And what can I control right now? And anything that you control, clean off your desk, anything that would give your brain a sense of, I do have some things in front of me I can control. Will start to ease the stress, because you can't make it go away. Again, it's very primal. Control and predictability. So
again, you're putting people a choice through observation, which is absolutely beautiful. And I think that I do the same thing. It's breathing in the moment and really stepping back from that situation and asking yourself those powerful questions so that you can get yourself in relationship with this in a completely different level. Instead of being in response all the time, through the flight and fight mode. Oh my God, what do I do next? So taking time, right? And noticing what really triggers you. And also there is this level of a deeper conversation here for me, which is, how do we trust life? On a deeper spiritual level, in a way that if you trust unknown, we trust that life has something good in stakes for us. And life in itself is kind and compassionate and will facilitate your learning or life journey into the direction where you actually need to go. And we know this from the coaching conversation. Sometimes people come and say, I want this, right? This is my goal. This is where I want to go. This is where I want to be. And then in those conversations, somehow this wonderful coaching space facilitates something completely different that people never even thought about, because there's something different, usually, isn't it?
Well, there's two things that you mentioned that I think are important. One is, can we just look at life as a journey of lessons? It's like, what am I learning right now? What is life teaching me in this moment? Which, the last 2 years have shown us. And each person, even the people that we struggle with, they're teaching us lessons. So what is it that I'm learning that I can gain from this moment, is a critical question. But the other side of it is that if you don't have even a sense of what my life purpose could be, why am I here at this time? What would be different if I wasn't here? And it could be just to, bring your family joy. It doesn't have to be changing the world, but what fulfills you that you can say, oh, that's my purpose, at least for now. That becomes your anchor, your stake in the ground.
Absolutely. And I think that deeper sense of purpose and what makes you fulfilled in this moment right now, and trusting that sense of purpose will unfold and get you to where you need to go, no matter what are the external circumstances, and also
it could unfold. You may not know it in the moment, but trust that it will unfold. You
trust it will unfold. Absolutely. Any last thoughts for this lovely conversation? Anything that you would love to leave our audience with? You already shared the practice, but I would love to kind of sum it up with you sharing a few more bits and pieces.
Well, I think that it's something that's useful as we walk through life completely, that, understanding that we live by our past stories, so the reason why we're afraid of the unknown is because our brain is making decisions at every moment based on the past, and all of a sudden we recognize, well, the past is not a guiding light right now. But just to remember, it's the past. It's what happened before, and it's over, and it's over. And it isn't a guiding light. I've just had some experiences and lessons I've learned from. And so it's the lessons that I learned from that will help me move through the present and the future in an easier way, because I've learned from them. I don't regret anything. I've learned from that. So, I think that whole understanding, the way our brain sabotages us, is so important.
Making those decisions out of the present moment, and then learning from the past in a way that this is just learning lessons. You're absolutely right. We made decisions by referencing our past. From my experience, this has happened, but we need to let go of all of that. And right now, our life is like that. We're all called to let go and be very present in the moment right now and enjoy this uncertainty. As you and I said, create it on the level of adventure. What can happen in my life if I'm fully aligned to my purpose, which also you mentioned the purpose and the meaning and the deeper of you, and how this can serve you in unfolding something that you really can enjoy and energize that timeline instead of worrying, for example, about what might happen, what could happen. Positive, staying positive, right? Staying positive and empowering.
And get out and help your neighbors.
Go and help your neighbor. Absolutely.
Go help your neighbors, because that'll make you feel good too.
Absolutely. I do that, all the time, extending the help, really being a good member of community, because the more you give, the more you get.